I'm not saying anything that could be. I move. Oh shit, sorry, I didn't tell him. There's stuff here, it's not getting to me, which is my problem. Good morning, everybody. This morning's proceedings will be transmitted over the live link with a 15-minute delay. Those with mobile telephones in the hearing room may report what they hear in the hearing room, but only after 15 minutes have elapsed since the event that they're reporting. They may not be used for recording or photography. Yes.
Would you like to stand?
Of course.
Take that in your right hand and repeat after me. I swear by Almighty God
I swear by Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give
the evidence I shall give
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the
and
truth.
nothing but the truth.
Left to say.
Mr. Barr. Thank you, sir. Could you give us your full name, please?
Colin John Black.
Are the contents of your witness statement for this inquiry dated the 5th of June 2025 true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
We see from your witness statement that before your association with the SDS, you worked for the Cabinet Office. Could you assist us with whether or not any of your duties within the Cabinet Office had anything to do with domestic affairs?
No, they did not.
Can I move now to training? Before you assumed responsibility for the SDS in the chain of command, did you have any specific training in the management of undercover police officers engaged in long-term intelligence gathering operations?
No.
Can I ask you now about the training system? What knowledge did you have of the way in which SDS officers were trained for their undercover operations?
I don't remember having any knowledge of that. If it was mandatory training, they'd have to do mandatory training, but other than that, I don't know.
When you say you don't have a recollection, would you have known at the time how UCOs were prepared for their deployment, or is that something you would have left entirely to those below you in the chain of command?
I don't recall one way or the other, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Who was responsible for training UCOs?
There was a training department. I'm not sure what its role in their training was, and there was a SDS office, and they would have been involved in the training.
And in your role as first of all superintendent, later chief superintendent, and then acting commander, did you have responsibility for oversight of training?
No.
So is it your evidence that you had no responsibility at all for ensuring in any way that SDS officers were properly prepared for their deployments?
It's not my evidence that that's the case, no.
What is your evidence then about your level of responsibility?
Well, the SDS, the SDS at various points fell under my responsibility, and as such, I would have been responsible for their behaviour and training. But the actual training would not have come under my remit. There was a training department.
Understood. Did you do anything to satisfy yourself that the officers were being properly trained?
No.
Why not?
I didn't see that as my role. I wasn't in a supervisory role.
But in a higher management role, presumably you would accept you should have ensured that somebody was training them properly.
I should have ensured that the supervisors of those officers were training them properly, yes.
And have I understood your evidence correctly? You took no steps to ensure that they were in fact doing so.
You're right.
Were responsibilities of this sort set out in writing anywhere?
I can't remember whether that's this case or not.
Did you have a written job description?
No.
Can I move to a specific document? It was known as the Tradecraft Manual, and it was a collection of advice from former undercover officers which recruits were asked to read before deploying. Did you ever see the Tradecraft Manual?
I can't remember having ever seen it.
Were you aware of its existence?
I can't remember that either.
Was it the sort of document that you ought to have been aware of in order to ensure that officers were being trained properly?
No.
Why not?
That would have fallen to their supervisors.
But in terms of you ensuring that they were doing their jobs properly, should you not have familiarised yourself with how officers were being trained?
No,
Why not?
because that wasn't within my sphere of responsibility as a manager, not a supervisor.
So as a manager, your evidence is it mattered not to you whether or not they were being trained with adequate materials.
No, that's not what I said or meant. What I meant was it wasn't my job to ensure that the officers who were undercover had their training. That was their supervisor's job.
Whose job was it to keep an eye on the DCI in the SDS to make sure that he was running the unit properly?
His supervising officer,
Which would be the superintendent.
which would be the superintendent, yes.
And you were a superintendent at one stage, weren't you, in the
Yes.
early part? So it would have been your responsibility, at least in that era.
No.
Why not?
Well, I wasn't the superintendent in charge of the SDS.
You were a superintendent in S Squad
No,
in 1998.
no.
Between April 90... What was your precise role in 1998?
I can't remember if you got the documents as to what.
Yeah, our understanding is that you were detective superintendent between April and December 1998, and you were promoted to detective chief superintendent in December 1998. You served as such until July 2003 before being promoted to acting commander between July and December 2003.
Those ranks, if that's what the personnel file says, those ranks would be correct.
So in that period when you were a detective superintendent, should you not have familiarised yourself with how the DCI was ensuring that officers were trained?
No, I wasn't the superintendent in charge of the SDS.
And what was your role vis-a-vis the SDS then?
I was I was the same role as the detective superintendent's role. It's just that the Metropolitan Police decided at some point that chief superintendents were as a redundant term. So they called it Superintendent 1 and Superintendent 2, and then they went back, of course, again to chief superintendent, as these things do. So I didn't when you say I was a superintendent in charge of SDS, I'd have been the chief superintendent, either acting or as part of the job that I eventually ended up with as the operations commander.
2 ranks above the DCI.
Yes.
So what did you see your oversight role as being?
At which point?
Vis-a-vis, well, let's take it a step at a time. As superintendent in 1998, what was the ambit of your oversight role for the SDS?
What role was I performing in those days?
Well,
That's your question.
yes.
Well, I think I was on a different squad as a superintendent, if I recall. You'll have detail of that somewhere. And then thereafter, I either filled in or was posted to the role of operations commander. Now, whether I'm called a superintendent or a chief superintendent depends on when the Metropolitan Police fiddled about with those ranks. But as the operations commander, I wouldn't have supervision of the SDS.
Yes, so I'm asking about oversight rather than supervision.
Well, oversight, yes.
And what was the ambit of your oversight responsibilities in relation to the SDS?
Well, when my predecessor had left and become the head of the branch, he took with him a lot of the responsibilities for the SDS. And my oversight was when he was not there or not available, I had oversight. And that was oversight of the strategic direction of the branch, oversight of the way in which the different squads interfaced with each other and with other agencies, but not directly for the SDS, nor directly for any other part of Special Branch at that level.
By your predecessor, do you mean Mr. Pearce?
Yes.
Just before you joined the chain of command for the SDS, Helen Steele had been in New Zealand searching for John Dines. Were you made aware of that?
I don't know.
When you say you don't know, do you mean
I don't remember.
You can't remember?
No.
Shortly after you joined the chain of command, a new detective inspector was recruited to replace Bob Lambert within the SDS. It was a man we're calling HN146. Did you have any role in the recruitment of HN146?
I don't think so. I may have signed the form that authorised it eventually, but it wouldn't be part of my role to authorise the appointment of officers on any particular squad.
The result of that appointment was that the SDS had a DCI and a DI who were both former SDS undercover officers. Did you consider whether it was a good idea to have two former UCOs managing that unit?
I didn't consider it, no.
Were you aware? You would have been aware of that appointment, would you?
Yes.
And you would have been aware of the personalities, HN58 and HN53.
I would have been aware that they were probably SDS officers. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Yeah, I may have been. I don't know.
Yeah. What's your view now as to whether it's a good idea for a unit like the SDS to have two former UCOs occupying the two most senior management roles within the unit?
In a special branch generally, it's very difficult not to have someone who's already been in a job, in a supervisory role, in that particular department. For example, in the squad that dealt with international matters,
well,
it's quite likely that the supervisors would previously have been members who dealt with that subject.
We understand quite a lot of people floating around Special Branch had been in the SDS in the past, but there are occasions when the unit is managed by a mix of ex-SDS officers and non-SDS officers, and times when it's managed by DCIs and DIs, both of whom are ex-SDS officers. And what I'm asking for now is your view as to whether or not that is a good idea.
Well, their supervisor would... Who was their supervisor?
The DCI was HN58.
And what was the superintendent's name? Or number?
The superintendent was McLaughlin.
Well, he hadn't been in...
No, that's not what I'm driving at. I'm driving at the DCI and the DI.
It's often the case that DCI and DI on a particular squad, and there were several squads, had been in that department, that part of the branch on previous occasions.
Is there a risk that it means that you get set practices and a lack of fresh thinking?
I see what you're driving at, and yes, of course, there's a risk.
Can I move now to the targeting of the officer we are calling HN60?
Bear with me, sorry.
Take your time.
Right.
Can we have up, please, 526758? So that's your tab B25. You will see that this is a minute sheet and that DCI HN58 is communicating to you through Detective Superintendent McLaughlin about Apple Source's HN60's code name, about HN60's targeting strategy. Once you've read that, please indicate and we'll go to the next page.
I've read it.
If we go to page 3 now, this is the targeting strategy itself. And at paragraph 1.1, you will see that C Squad appear to have influenced the targeting of HN60. Is that fair?
Yes.
And also normal.
Yes.
If we go to page 4, please, and paragraph 2.2, give you a moment to read that subparagraph.
Right.
May help you if we call up UCPI 39936 in relation to the reference to Mr. Prescott. This is a newspaper article following the death of Mr. Prescott, and it is referring back to an event in February 1998 when Mr. Prescott was attending the Brit Awards, and the lead singer of a band called Chumbawamba poured water over Mr. Prescott. Do you recall that happening?
No.
If we go back, please, to 526758. Can you help us with what the Cabinet Officer's concerns were about the SWP at the time?
No.
Can you help us as to the heckling and disruption to which Mr. Prescott was subjected to by the SWP?
No.
Are you able to help us with whether or not the stunt at the Brit Awards, the assault on Mr. Prescott, was any part of the reasoning behind the targeting of HN60?
No.
That paragraph goes on to refer to the trade union Unison and its concerns about the activities of SWP activists within their union. Can you assist us with what those concerns were?
No.
And is that because of lack of recollection now or because of lack of knowledge at the time?
I don't know the answer to that question.
It appears on the face of the document that the concerns may have been about industrial militancy rather than subversion. Can you help us as to whether the concern was about militancy or subversion?
Could you bring the paragraph up again, please?
2.2, please.
That's better, thanks. Sorry, what was the question?
Can you help us whether the reason for targeting the SWP was because of concerns about militancy or about subversion?
I can't help you now.
Can you recall whether you did discuss with HN58 the targeting of HN60?
I don't know the answer to that question. I can't remember.
Can we take that document down now, please, and go to 527323, please?
Sorry, could I ask a question? Was the minute sheet attached to this document?
That's our understanding.
Well, I mean, you don't know. Oh, sorry, okay, right, move on.
Do you have any concerns? And if you do, please articulate them.
This is not the time or place.
527323. We're moving forward now to the summer of 1998. A visit is being arranged for the 7th of July 1998, at which the AXO, Mr. Van Ness, is going to visit the SDS with you. And this is HN58 sending a memo to you and Detective Superintendent McLaughlin with the arrangements for that visit. Can you help us with the visit itself? Did you attend and meet members of the unit?
I don't remember that.
Were you aware of the targeting of SDS officers?
Sometimes, yes.
In detailed terms or broad terms?
In broad terms.
This visit happened very shortly after those suspected at the time of murdering Stephen Lawrence appeared at the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, where there was some disorder. Can you help us with whether you discussed events at the Stephen Lawrence inquiry with anyone when you visited the unit?
No.
To what extent did you see SDS reporting?
I saw some SDS reporting. If it were to be passed further to the Assistant Commissioner that you mentioned, or to the head of the branch, if it was something that were worthy of praise, or had a wider effect than simply the gathering of intelligence by a special branch.
How often did you visit the unit?
Rarely.
How frequently would you say rarely meant?
I can't remember.
Once a year? Once a month?
No, certainly not once a month.
In what circumstances did you visit the unit?
I mean, just to walk around and say hello, I think. I wouldn't have gone to them for any operational reason, I don't think.
What caused you to visit the unit?
You visit all the units.
Part and parcel of leadership?
Yes.
Could we take that document down now, please? Can we go to 247766? We're moving now to August of 1998. This document doesn't name you. It's a file note that was generated by Sergeant Greeny and copied to HN58, the DCI of the SDS at the time. It's about a developing operation involving a UCO HN146, and in particular, her forthcoming participation in the release of mink from a farm in Hampshire. If we go to page 2, please. I'd like you to look at the last 3 paragraphs, please.
Right.
Did you know anything about plans for HN26, that's RB Road Bridge, to participate in the release of mink in Hampshire before she did so?
I can't remember.
Do you think you would remember if you had been told?
I don't know. Possibly.
Could we go to 247864, please? This is a draft code of practice for undercover operations dated the 3rd of June 1998. It says in towards the end of the first paragraph, while these codes of practice do not specifically relate to SDS operations, current operating standards do fall within the spirit of the code. If we could go to page 3, please, and paragraph 1.6. You can see clearly from 1.6 that if an officer is going to participate in crime, that needs to be authorised. If we go to page 4, paragraph 2.4, please. That refers back to the paragraph we've just looked at and provides that where there is going to be serious criminal activity, the level of authorization required is Commander Special Branch. Would you agree that participating in the release of mink, in other words, potentially committing the offence of burglary, would be serious criminal activity?
It would be criminal activity.
My question, though, is directed at under this code of practice, which the SDS is adhering to at least in spirit, would you expect the SDS to seek the authority of the Commander of Special Branch?
Yes.
If the Commander of Special Branch's authority was sought, would you expected to have been copied in?
Not necessarily, unless I was standing in for the Commander of Special Branch.
The release of the animals went ahead in the early hours of the 8th of August 1998, and in the result, thousands rather than hundreds of mink were released. The estimate is somewhere between 3,000 and 6,000 mink were released into the environment. Our understanding is that that was an event which attracted some publicity because of the damage which the mink did, for example, to domestic pets and wildlife. Can you recall the publicity following this release?
No.
When did you first become aware that HN146 had participated in the release of these mink?
I don't remember.
Did you ever become aware before this public inquiry that HN146 was involved in the mink release?
Was this in the papers that you gave me to look at prior to this, a year ago?
I'm not putting a document to you showing an awareness. I'm asking you whether you can recall whether you ever knew of the release of the mink.
I don't remember.
Can you recall any reaction within Special Branch?
No.
Had you known, had you been made aware immediately afterwards that 3,000 to 6,000 mink had been released by a group of animal rights activists, including an SDS undercover police officer, without either your or Commander Special Branch's authority having been sought, what would your reaction have been?
The authority should have been sought.
And what would you have done about that?
Well, I don't know. Was the authority sought from Commander Special Branch?
Well, as far as we're aware, no authority was sought. So I'm asking you, if you had found out in the aftermath of this event that HN146 had participated in the release of the mink without proper authority, what would you have done?
The first question I would have asked is why the authority wasn't asked for.
And am I to understand that you have no recollection of this issue arising at all?
I can't remember it now.
Can I move now to 749-500, please? This is the first of three documents I'm going to show you, which are from early 1998 and relate to the Lawrence inquiry. If we look at the top of the page, please, if we could have the first minute expanded first of all, please. It says, Detective Superintendent TN 61, to you. You may wish to see this excellent unclassified report, copies of which I have forwarded to Chief Superintendent Baggett, who heads the Lawrence Review team. And if we go to the minute...
Sorry, could you just give me a second?
Yes, of course.
Yep.
If we go to the minute below, this is from you. In response, I'll give you a moment to read that.
Would you be able to read from me the first line? I can't read the first.
Could we expand that manuscript even more, please?
Do you know what the last part of that first line actually says? I can't read it.
I'm not sure I can properly decipher it.
Right.
This is not, the document we're going to come to is not an SDS document.
No.
But the point of putting this document to you is it shows, doesn't it, that your view was that the Stephen Lawrence inquiry was going to be very influential.
So can I read the rest of it?
Yes, please do.
Concentrating on that unreadable first line. Sorry, could you show me the previous document, the first minute,
Yes.
please?
The top of the page.
That's okay, I've got that, thank you.
Yeah.
So it's, okay. So there's a document that's come to me, but has already gone. Is that correct?
You are being sent a document
To note.
to note. You write a reply. My first question is, you can see from your reply that you regarded the Stephen Lawrence inquiry as influential.
Yes.
And if we could have that second minute up again, please. We can see that the review team was keeping the commissioner aware of developments.
Yep.
Otherwise, you would have arranged for this report to have been sent further up the chain of command.
Yes.
And is the review team the Stephen Lawrence review team?
Yes. I assume so, yes.
Could we go to page 3 of this file, please? This is the document itself. If we look at paragraph 1, so you can see what it's about.
Yep.
So it would seem that this is a report passing or recording for dissemination up the chain of command, openly available information about the Lawrence inquiry and reactions to it.
Yes.
And that there are also formal threat assessments being produced on a weekly basis.
Yes.
Are those threat assessments related to the Lawrence inquiry?
Yes.
If we go to paragraph 3, please. Give you a moment to read that, but I'm interested in the last sentence.
Right.
So the author there painting a bleak picture from the MPS perspective of the inquiry, putting the MPS in a no-win situation, politically sexy, the left are going to exploit it.
Yes.
Was that a view that you shared?
As far as I remember, yes.
And was that a view that was widely shared within the MPS?
I think it's a view that was widely shared in the country.
If we could look now at paragraph 5. And then once you've got to the bottom, that paragraph runs over the page, which I would also like you to see, please. And so we can take from that, can we, that Special Branch, amongst other things, was monitoring the left-wing press to see what it was saying about the Lawrence inquiry.
Yes?
Including noting quotes from the family.
I'm sorry, I've missed that bit.
The edition also carries frequent quotes from the Lawrence family, and the topic is often aired in the editorial. So it's noting
I
that
see, the
the
last
Lawrence
sentence,
family is
sorry, yeah.
being quoted.
Yeah.
Could we take that down now, please, and have 749537? The document we've just been looking at was dated the 21st of April. This next document is dated the 19th of May. This is the covering minute. I'm interested in the content of the document. If we could go to that,
Sorry,
please.
can you just give me a second to look at this one?
Sure.
Right. Thank you.
If we could go to the next page, please. This is a Special Branch Threat Assessment, the Stephen Lawrence Inquiry. And it's under the name of HN146, who was a superintendent at that time. If we look at paragraph 2, please.
Right.
And so we can see, first of all, that the threat assessment is considering, at least amongst other things, the actions of the Stephen Lawrence family campaign.
Yes.
And were you aware that the Stephen Lawrence family campaign was the family and its immediate advisors?
It's public knowledge, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if we take that as a whole, it's obvious that the Stephen Lawrence family campaign are not seeking public disorder, are they?
Yes. Sorry, I mean, they aren't, if you know.
I understand. If we can go to paragraph 5, we see that reinforced.
Yep.
And were you aware at the time that the family itself was against disorder?
I don't remember.
Could we look at the next page? This is a leaflet issued by the Stephen Lawrence Family Campaign attached to the document we've just looked at, and it's seeking to drum up support for people to come and rally in support of the campaign outside or at the inquiry on various days. So can we take it Special Branch is collecting information about what the Stephen Lawrence Family Campaign is doing?
That's one of those yes or no answers that doesn't really have a yes or no answer.
You can give this as nuanced an answer as you wish.
I think we'll come to this again. And it's, I mean, I know that the way in which you're directing the question is to determine whether the Special Branch was looking at the Stephen Lawrence family and campaign, and as I would say, the people who were supporting that campaign. And therefore, I slightly take issue with your statement that Special Branch was, what was the word you used?
Well, it's collecting information, isn't it?
Collecting information on the Stephen Lawrence campaign per se. So I take issue with your summary.
In that case, you can help by explaining to us why Special Branch is collecting this flyer and attaching it to a threat assessment.
Didn't collect the flyer. The flyer was given. The flyer therefore requires somebody to say whether it poses any threat or doesn't pose a threat.
But in that way, information about the actions of the Stephen Lawrence Family Campaign, openly available information, is being collected by Special Branch as part and parcel of its regular assessment of threat arising from the Lawrence inquiry.
That's fair.
And if we can take that down now and go to 749535. This is, again, the 19th of May. This is an update. I'll let you have a look at the minute sheet first.
Right.
And if we go now to the document itself, thank you. You see it's a briefing note entitled Reporting on the Stephen Lawrence Public Inquiry. If we go over the page now, I don't need you to look at this in particular detail, but if you look perhaps at the first two paragraphs.
This is a retread of the previous document you showed me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're seeing again, this is the collation into a formal report of openly available information about the Lawrence inquiry.
Of of reporting, which I assume is the meaning of the word on the previous page, rather than, I mean, it's reporting by others rather than reporting by special
Yes,
branches.
media reporting.
Yeah. Yes.
Can I take it that you were, I mean, your name is on the minute sheet for the first of the 3 documents I've taken you through, but not the other 2. But can I take it that you were aware, in general terms, that Special Branch was monitoring events around the Lawrence inquiry,
Yes.
including the actions of the Stephen Lawrence family campaign?
Yes.
If we could take that down now, please. I want to remind you of events on the day on which the 5 people then suspected of murdering Stephen Lawrence appeared at the inquiry. I understand that we're going to be working from the YouTube version of the footage. If we could start at 47 minutes and 19 seconds into, this is a documentary, The Murder That Changed a Nation, episode 2. It's about Stephen Lawrence. This extract is showing events on the day I've just mentioned. Can we watch it through to 51:23, please?
A High Court judge has ruled that 5 men who've all been charged in the past with murdering Stephen Lawrence should give evidence to the inquiry into his death.
The appearance of the 5 suspects was almost the climax of the inquiry. There was a huge sense of anticipation. It's a public inquiry. Anybody can go up into the public inquiry. And the police were stopping them. Then you have the Nation of Islam downstairs in the foyer. And I remember we were just about to start. Somebody just burst into the room saying that there's commotion happening downstairs. And it got so bad that they had to stop the inquiry. But what the police was doing was totally out of order, because the police had used CS gas in their faces and stuff, so it was really, really bad.
Why is it on the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, when it's black people who are coming to seek justice, that the police want to use offensive capability weapons like the CS gas?
This is the scenario that everyone feared. Emotions running out of control down here, and the evidence of the 5 suspects temporarily derailed.
They were going to cause a riot, and I had to calm them down and tell them that my family don't deal with things like that.
What's happening here this morning is not going to get to the truth. No. It's going to stop us getting to the truth. And we are going to be branded as hooligans.
It's a public inquiry. You have every right to hear it. But I'm Stephen's mother, and if I ask or requested people just to respect me, I think it should be done.
But we can't let them come through and then they just get in the van and go.
Yeah, so what that's what Bailey says.
Black people have the right to run their own struggle.
Yeah.
And you can't do it through a white judge sitting in some inquiry that doesn't have the opportunity to punish the police that were responsible or to actually put behind bars forever the murderers of Stephen Lawrence.
What's that coming down to me?
If the public needed persuading that this was a case in which, on the one hand, you had Neville and Dorian, and on the other hand, you had these 5, then I think they began to think about the things that had seriously gone awry here, the system that had fallen apart.
One suspect, David Norris, hit out as the youth strutted down the walkway out of the Elephant and Castle shopping centre.
That picture fixed in the public mind the fact that there was something really, really badly wrong about this investigation.
A racist crime is one where it just doesn't attack you in the physical sense. There's psychological trauma. There is a sense that there are people out there that hate you not because they want your phone, but because of your existence as a being. Stephen was murdered. simply because he existed, because of the colour of his skin.
At least one of the suspects was hit, but they scrambled into their white getaway van.
You have this young man, Stephen Lawrence, who's never been in trouble with the police, who's not affiliated with a gang.
Those events attracted widespread publicity in the media, didn't they?
Yes.
And no doubt you were very well aware of them at the time.
I don't remember, but yes, I probably was.
And we can take from that footage two things. First of all, there certainly was disorder on that occasion. And secondly, both Neville and Doreen Lawrence distinguished themselves in terms of calming things down.
Yes.
And you would have been well aware from that and from reporting of the kind we've seen that that was very much the position of the family.
From what you've shown me, yes.
Well, do you have any recollection of any contrary information relating to the family?
No.
I want to move now against the background of all that material to the meeting that was arranged between HN81, the UCO who was targeted against Movement for Justice, Detective Inspector Bob Lambert, and Acting Detective Inspector Richard Walton.
Oh, yes.
Now that occurs in the middle of August 1998. The footage I've just shown you was from the very end of June. Can you help us, first of all, with how that meeting was something they were entitled to do, though, wasn't it, as people who themselves believed there was a lot of racial injustice in policing?
Yes, as long as the large-scale campaign which they were hoping to organise didn't involve any other form of illegal activity.
So it's got the potential to cause police embarrassment on the same scale as the Lawrence case. What was the significance of that?
I don't know. I don't know. So, I mean, all these cases would cause police embarrassment.
It seems to have been important to the writer to point that out. And was the position that the police was keen to understand what criticism was coming its way?
Well, it certainly wasn't Special Branch's concern.
Goes on. Certainly, so far as Mrs. Reel and the activists are concerned, there are glaringly similar racist overtones between the police handling of both investigations. Again, Windmill Tilter will be ideally positioned to monitor important developments in the month ahead. So it appears, again, that the racist allegation, the allegation of racism in particular, is noteworthy. Is that something that would have been noteworthy to you when you read this?
No.
Why not?
Because Special Branch wasn't interested in, that's the wrong phrase, had no role or remit in presenting that sort of information. It had no role or remit in the racism issue. It would simply have presented that to HN, whatever it was I said, who was trying to build the bridges between the police service and the black community. So the information in this report wouldn't have been for Special Branch.
Well, this is an SDS report.
Yeah.
Which has come to you as
Yep.
an SDS, as a Special Branch manager and
Yep.
in the chain of command for the SDS.
Yes. But it doesn't, I mean, does it stay within Special Branch, or is it then,
We'll come to
changed so that it can go outside Special Branch?
we'll come to dissemination of information in due course.
Well, this report, I mean,
This doesn't
it wouldn't
go-
have gone further in this format. It would have had
No,
to be
you're right
redacted.
about that, and we'll come to the format in which intelligence
Right.
is disseminated. But Windmill Tilter ideally positioned to monitor important developments in the months ahead. What's striking is there's no reference here, is there, to public disorder?
Well, that would only be the case if there was a reason to put it in. This is about assisting, it seems to me. I don't know what the entire report says because we haven't looked at the entire report, but this is not about public disorder. This is about assisting the Metropolitan Police and specifically CO24 or HN, I can't remember his number, sorry. Double 114, was it? In doing his job.
So hoovering up information about an Asian justice campaign and MFJ's attempts to support that campaign.
Insofar as it would assist the police. I mean, Special Branch didn't collect even public order information just to collect it. It collected it to pass it on to Public Order Branch in order that they could take action to mitigate any public order issues. In the same way, anything that would affect the relations with the black community would be passed to the appropriate branch in order for them to take any kind of action or to inform them as they saw fit.
To help them to manage the police's relations and image in the face of a large-scale critical campaign on racial grounds.
Well, you used the word image. Where does it say that? I mean, it's about the relations, not the image.
That's part and parcel of it, isn't it?
I don't understand that.
Part and parcel of the relationship is the police's image, isn't it?
No, it's about building the relationship.
And how does this help build the relationship?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't involved in building the relationship. That was part of HN146.
How did you think it might help improve race relations?
I have no idea.
Were you ever made aware that HN81 had driven Mrs. Reel home from a meeting with MFJ?
I don't remember.
Is that an appropriate time, sir, to have the morning break?
Certainly it is. Before we break, I want to ask you about an answer that you gave about half an hour ago. And if you want time to think about it and tell me after the break, by all means, take that opportunity.
Thank you.
You told me that extreme left-wing groups attach themselves to campaigns to put their own slant and influence on the campaigns. And you said that that is why we asked for a note to ensure that it wouldn't have led to public disorder or any other form of activity in which we might be interested. I readily understand public disorder, but in what other form of activity would Special Branch have been interested?
I take that question, sir, and if I may come back to you after the break. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If we could pick up where we left off.
We may, I hope, have an answer to my question.
Forgive me, sir.
Yes, sir. One of the areas in which the Special Branch would be interested in the activities of those groups would be in foreign expansion. They all had, well, that's not true. Some of them had links with people abroad, similar-minded groups, perhaps, and that gives rise to a fear, may or may not be the case, it gave rise to a fear, and you will know from this inquiry that that is the case, that these groups were in contact with groups abroad. That would bring us into is there a national security angle here? And that would be, because once it gets into, out into the wider world, you never know who's going to find out about what. So that would be why that was one of the areas in which we would be interested in how the groups were acting.
So it's public order and national security.
Those are the two that I can think of offhand, yes.
As far as national security goes, the collapse of the Soviet Union and of state-sponsored communism surely removed the threat that had traditionally been involved.
Traditionally, yes.
So what was the remaining threat?
Well, there are national security threats from foreign actors to this day. Just because it's not communist doesn't mean it's not a threat to national security. That's what MI6 does. See what I mean?
I have some understanding of this from work I've done previously in a judicial capacity, but I'm at a loss to understand how extreme left-wing groups could, by 1998, have posed a national security threat.
They didn't pose the national security threat, but by their actions they may have contacted other groups abroad who would have been attached to some kind of national security threat. That was one of the reasons that we would report upon and why the reports went outside Special Branch.
Forgive me for failing to understand the national security threat that might be posed by those who do, or who did in 1998, pose a threat to our national security by associating with extreme left-wing groups. For example, to take the obvious example, Islamist terrorism by then was on the horizon, even if it hadn't fully materialized. But it's very difficult to understand how that could conceivably have had anything to do with extreme left-wing activity.
Well, I'm not sure that's entirely the case. Any other quasi-terrorist group that they would be in touch with would be the sort of thing that we would be interested in. Whether they posed any actual national security threat would be something that somebody else would decide upon, but it's something that we would report upon in case it were, and would pass on the reporting to whoever would decide whether it was or whether it wasn't.
Well, I remain, I'm afraid, completely puzzled as to the national security threat that might arise from the activity of domestic extreme left-wing groups in the United Kingdom.
I understand your position, but it wasn't our view that that was the case.
Thank you.
MFJ's underlying political philosophy was Trotskyist, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Did you not establish it at the time?
Oh, I don't remember then what the underlying.
And the Trotskyists don't have an international sponsor, do they?
Again, I don't know.
And MFJ was also a tiny group, wasn't it?
Again, I don't know.
Would you have known at the time?
I doubt it.
Why not?
Oh, I shouldn't. Sorry?
Why not?
Well, I didn't have supervisory control, as I keep saying, over the SDS. Special branch is a branch of, 600 people. Larger than any other, that's in the Metropolitan Police. That's larger than any other, all the branches in the country put together. I'm the CEO of what is a medium to large company. Your questions suggest that I have a knowledge of, what nuts are used to put the wheels on the car. That's simply not the case.
Can we go back to where the document we were on before lunch, 720946? And we were on page, can we go to page 9, please? Can we have paragraph 3 now? A new SDS source, an Apple source, is now well placed to report additionally on the involvement of the SWP and ANL in the second phase of the Lawrence inquiry and the Civil Rights March in October. Lacking the key personal contacts enjoyed by MFJ, the SWP can nonetheless be relied upon to add its strident voice to the corrupt, racist police bandwagon and significant numbers to related demonstrations. So, the author is informing the reader that there's a second SDS officer, this time in the SWP and ANL, who can report on the second phase of the Lawrence inquiry and the Civil Rights March from the perspective of infiltrating the SWP, isn't he?
Sorry, let me read it again. Right, I've read it. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
The writer is informing the reader of the presence of a second SDS source, this time in the SWP and ANL.
Right.
Who can report on the second phase of the Lawrence inquiry from that perspective.
Yes. Yes.
The SWP and ANL's involvement in the second phase of the Lawrence inquiry per se does not give rise either to national security or public order concerns, does it?
Are we going to get into a discussion about national security at some stage, or not? Well, I will answer the question, of course. Yeah, but I don't want to answer the question now in terms of national security.
Well, please do answer the question now.
From that document, this is you're trying to say that we're monitoring views rather than actions, and we are monitoring views to ensure that they do not lead to actions.
What I'm interested in is why the monitoring is framed as relating to the second phase of the Lawrence inquiry.
Does the second phase of the Lawrence inquiry mean there's going to be a hardening of attitudes and threat to public disorder, for example?
But it is also when the inquiry was opening up the ambit of its work to cover racism within the police more widely in the context of the experience of black people.
Then that would be of interest to the department within Metropolitan Police that was trying to rebuild relationships with the black community.
The phrase strident voice to the corrupt, racist police bandwagon. What did you understand by corrupt, racist police bandwagon?
I don't remember at all what I meant by what I understood by that in, what was it, 2001?
1998.
1998. It's a phrase that's in common use and has been for 50 years.
Did it reflect a view within the institution that people who were criticising the police on racist grounds were on a bandwagon?
That's what that line looks like it says, yes.
Yeah. As opposed to
looking at it
raising...
from now.
I beg your pardon?
Looking at it from today's perspective, I don't know what...
In terms of perspective, it's saying that as opposed to acknowledging that there might have been legitimate grounds for criticism.
Sorry, repeat that question.
As opposed to reflecting that there might be legitimate grounds for criticism.
No, I don't think that's the case. There's clearly legitimate grounds for criticism.
I mean, this is cynical, isn't it?
Yes. Badly phrased.
And if we could go to the next paragraph, please. Perhaps just before we do, actually, there's a reference there to lacking the key personal contacts enjoyed by MFJ. Did you understand by that the writer was communicating to you that HN81 was significantly closer to the Lawrence campaign than Applesauce?
Could I have the bit back again?
Yeah, that third paragraph.
Thanks. Now, I read that, I don't know what I thought about it at the time, but reading it now, that's about the personal contacts enjoyed by MFJ with the Lawrence campaign. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. So you were being told effectively that HN81 is close to the Lawrence family through MFJ.
Well, close to the MFJ, and therefore close to anything that the MFJ was involved in, including the Lawrence campaign, I guess.
With key personal contacts.
But these are the key personal contacts that the MFJ has with the Lawrence.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
And whether it's true or not is maybe a separate question. But that is what's being communicated to you.
That the MFJ has close personal contacts with the Lawrence campaign.
And can we have the next paragraph, paragraph 4?
Right.
So D.I. Lambert is communicating to you when you read this document that what's proposed is regular reporting to C-Squad and additional discrete briefings to Active Detective Inspector Walton when necessary. Can you help us with whether there were any further such briefings?
I can't help you now.
Can we go to page 11, please? Did you wish to add something?
That's okay, we'll come to it, I'm sure.
This is the first of the two reports that were attached to the briefing that we've just been looking at. This is a report produced on the basis of HN81's intelligence dated the 23rd of July 1998. If we look at paragraph 1, we'll see there that it reports on the Lawrence family support campaign and a meeting held by that support campaign on the 20th of July 1998. If we go to page 13, please. The top paragraph, first of all, This is further evidence, isn't it, that the Lawrences did not want anything to do with other groups.
Yeah.
Further evidence of their independence. Next paragraph, please. Give you a moment to read that.
Sorry, what was the? I got this on the previous group. What were the two groups?
That's the Newham Monitoring Project and the Southall Monitoring Group.
Right. What are they monitoring? Do you know?
Police.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, in particular, the second half of this paragraph communicates that Doreen and Neville Lawrence had, in reality, separated and were only continuing together as a front. It goes on then to explain the two different positions of Doreen Lawrence and Neville Lawrence. What was the relevance of the Lawrences' separation to the police?
You're asking about personal details now, aren't you? About, well, police should be collecting personal details. Is that your...
No, I'm asking what the relevance of that particular personal detail was to the police.
That's the same question. I think that if you're monitoring a group or a series of groups, it turns out, who are using the Lawrence campaign to further whatever their actions may or may not be, then every detail makes a difference. For example, if at that time Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence had separated, who was coming into the forefront, therefore, of the campaign? Who was keeping the campaign going? What would their objectives be in relation to carrying it on in either violent or public order or other type of activity? That's what we'd be interested in, not the simple fact that Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence had separated. It was what was then going to happen to the campaign.
But the starting point is the fact that they have separated.
Well, there are lots of personal details, I'm sure, that would have been relevant to that. If they've gone on holiday for 3 weeks, okay, they've gone on holiday for 3 weeks. Who is now running the campaign? Where are they taking it? What on earth meetings have they organised? And what protests have they organised in the Lawrence's absence? These are details which are important in relation to keeping an eye on where the campaign is going.
So I take it from that answer that you do not criticise Detective Inspector Lambert for writing this down?
No.
Or HN81 for reporting it?
No.
And likewise, Doreen and Neville's separate positions?
No. I don't know what their separate positions were. Oh, I see at the end there.
As it continues.
All right, hang on. Yeah, no, I think that's relevant, yes.
And was there any relevance to how the police behave towards the Lawrences? If the police are having to discuss matters with the Lawrences, aren't they?
I don't know what the connection between the police and the Lawrences was. Were there direct meetings? And
at the time, there were calls for the Commissioner to step down, weren't there?
Yeah, but I thought your question said what meetings the police were having with the Lawrences.
So, if there was any dialogue between the Lawrence family and the MPS, would it assist the police to understand that there were different views between Doreen and Neville?
Oh, I don't know. You'd have to ask those that were taking part in those discussions.
And was reporting this information something which might assist people, the people you've referred to, inform themselves before any such negotiations?
Again, I'm not sure whether it'd be of interest or not to them. I mean, Special Branch didn't decide what was of interest or not of interest to the persons that wanted the information. They simply provided the information and others could.
So again, would I take it that you would not criticise the recording of this information if it would have been useful for that purpose?
Sorry, say again, I lost the track of the cough.
Am I understanding you correctly? You would not criticise the recording of this information for the purpose of informing police communications with the Lawrence family?
I'm not sure that's the purpose for which it was intended.
It's not quite an answer to my question. Do you criticise it being recorded for that potential purpose?
Was it passed to whoever it was?
Well, we're going to come to who it was passed to in due course. But at this stage, do you criticise it being recorded potentially to be used for that purpose?
Special Branch recorded all sorts of stuff that may have, well, I think it's your connection between the recording and the purpose that is confusing me. And we may let's come to it when we talk about the reporting, if that's okay.
This report was attached to the Lambert briefing, which we looked at. Can I take it that you would have read this at the time?
This report?
Yes.
I don't know. What does the minute say?
Well, it's attached. We are going back to the minute. Let's go back to that, page 3.
Yep. Hang on, sorry. Right.
Would you have read the report attached to Mr. Lambert's
Yes.
update? And can I take it...
When you say the report, you mean that report that you just showed?
Yes.
Not the original SDS report?
Well, that was the original SDS
Well, it was the compilation of what the original SDS reporting was.
No. Let's go back to...
Sorry.
720946.
That's on the screen at the moment. Yeah. Page you want.
Page 13, please.
Thank you.
Paragraph 2. This is an SDS intelligence report.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Dated the 23rd of July, 1998.
Right. I was thinking in my mind that this is not the raw intelligence that the SDS officer was now putting on a bit of paper. It is a report based on the information that's coming from the SDS officer.
This is an SDS intelligence report.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it. Let me think. The SDS officer would have reported to his supervisor what there was. He may or may not have put it in writing, I'm not sure. And this is what DI, who did you say it was?
This has been written up in the SDS, probably by a sergeant, on the basis of 81's reporting.
On the basis of is what my issue is. You said this is the SDS officer's report.
It is.
No, it's what DS Sergeant, whatever it is, took from the SDS officer's report and wrote on it. It's a quibble, but it's an SDS report. Okay.
And you would have read this, wouldn't you, because it was attached to Lambert's report?
Yes.
And what I'm driving at is, having read this and seen that HN81 was reporting to his sergeant in the SDS that the Lawrence had separated and what Doreen and Neville's respective points of view were about the campaign, you haven't reacted to that negatively, have you?
No.
You are not questioning its propriety in any way?
No.
Back to page 3 and the minute. The second line, the reference to the focal crisis points of policing in London. The focal crisis point at that moment was?
I've no idea, I can't remember. 1998, what would it be?
Well, you are writing this minute about a briefing written by D.I. Lambert about the Lawrence inquiry and HN81's reporting. By focal crisis point in policing, did you mean the Stephen Lawrence inquiry?
I've no idea. What were the focal points of policing in London in those days? Tell me, were there bombs going off? Were there public order demonstrations? There's a big fight outside wherever it was that you just showed me a video of.
I'm afraid, Mr. Black, I have to ask the questions. You answer them. You were a superintendent in Special Branch. You've read the report, the update and the report that we've just been through, and you write a minute praising the SDS as being well positioned at the focal crisis points of policing in London.
Right.
That is a reference to HN81, isn't it? Being well positioned.
Yes.
And the focal crisis point of policing in London you are referring to there is the Stephen Lawrence inquiry.
It's the fallout from the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, I would say, rather than the inquiry itself.
The threat to the MPS?
No, the threat to any kind of activity that was criminal or public order relevant. Not from the Lawrence inquiry itself, because we know that Doreen and Neville Lawrence had tried to calm it all down and not be involved in anything violent or criminal. However, the role of Special Branch was to report on these things that may well become violent or criminal, because the role of the Special Branch is preventative rather than reactionary.
The sort of disorder that occurred when the suspects arrived was obviously very unwelcome, but it was not sufficient to amount to a crisis for London, was it?
It was a crisis point of policing in London. I mean, it's very easy to look with hindsight, as with respect I believe you were doing, on what and what did not happen in London and what the crisis points were. Special Branch is preventatively trying to make sure that people are aware that there may or may not be activity that comes out of the Lawrence inquiry or the people that are attached to it.
It was a crisis. The inquiry was a crisis for the Metropolitan Police because it was being accused of serious racism in circumstances where the investigation was deeply flawed.
I'm sure it was. That particular aspect wasn't of great interest to Special Branch, I have to tell you.
The outcome of the Lawrence inquiry was of interest to Special Branch and the Met, wasn't it?
What did it say? I don't know.
Beg your pardon, are you saying you don't know what the outcome of the Stephen Lawrence inquiry was?
I am saying that, yeah.
That the Metropolitan Police was institutionally racist?
I'm sure that's correct. That's what the inquiry said.
And was not the adjudication on that allegation of institutional racism a crisis point of policing in London?
Well, it might have been, but whether that's the phrase, that's the particular point that refers to, I can't tell you.
Goes on, I am aware that D.I. Richard Walton of CO24 receives ad hoc off-the-record briefings from the SDS. What was the basis for writing that?
What do you mean by the basis? I'm sorry. Why? You mean why?
How did you know that?
Well, I guess I must have either received a report, somebody must have told me. I don't know who. I don't know which report.
It goes on to say you've reiterated to him, that's to...
Oh, it must be to Walton.
Is that to Walton? Can you help us with whether you did that orally or in writing?
I did write it's in the paperwork somewhere.
There is a file where we'll come to the endorsement at the start of that file, but can you recall whether you also spoke to him?
I have reiterated to him, and I imagine that's orally.
That it is essential...
I can't say that.
If you wish to continue your answer, please do.
And I was going to say I couldn't tell you absolutely that was correct, but I would say it was probably orally.
That it is essential that knowledge of the operation goes no further. Why not?
Partly because, well, mostly because that would risk the exposure of the SDS officer.
Did you say partly?
I did, and then I would give away special branches' interest in matters surrounding that Lawrence inquiry.
I would not wish him to receive anything on paper. Why not?
I think we changed that, didn't we, in the papers that are coming, and he worked for DAC Grieve, who was working in CO24. That was was that not the department that was trying to rebuild relationships with black community? And was he not working for John Grieve?
We're going to hear from Mr. Walton in due course. The documents we've got suggest that he was about to move at that stage.
Right.
So, I would not wish him to receive anything on paper. Why not?
Well, I don't know. Perhaps because he hadn't moved. I don't know his answer.
Is that, again, because you would not have wanted things to get out, both for source protection and to protect and not to broadcast what you were interested in?
Yes.
I've established a correspondent route to DAC Grieve and opened a file for copy correspondence with CO24. It will fall, of course, to C Squad to provide the bulk of that material. They will undoubtedly consult SDS as appropriate. We'll be going in due course to that file, but essentially you are setting up a file and you envisage that C Squad, including aided by the SDS, are going to be feeding intelligence to them.
I mean, I wouldn't like you to think that SDS was the only thing that we got intelligence from about domestic public order and other issues.
Indeed, and you will recall we went to 3 reports about the Lawrence campaign earlier in the day. On that note, I can now take you back to the document I wanted to show you earlier this morning. If we take that down now, please, can we go to 728625, which was the right document, but I need page 12, please. This is D.I. Lambert's note of the meeting at which he was present along with Mr. Walton and HN81. Can I invite you first of all to read the first 3 paragraphs?
Right.
From that first paragraph, would you agree that the Lawrence inquiry was continuing to dominate the Commissioner's agenda on a daily basis at that stage? This is during the Lawrence inquiry, just after stage 1 is finished and as preparations for stage 2 are underway.
I don't know what the Commissioner's agenda was, but it says there that they continue to dominate. I don't know whether Richard Walton was aware of what the Commissioner's...
What was your impression at the time?
Of what? Sorry.
How important the Stephen Lawrence inquiry was to the Commissioner?
I don't know what else I don't.
It describes a fascinating and valuable exchange of information. Why would an exchange of information between HN81 and acting Detective Inspector Walton of the Stephen Lawrence review team be fascinating and invaluable?
Well, Have I got a minute on this, or is that the minute you showed me? Is there a minute you showed me earlier, or?
Well, the minute I showed you earlier was your minute in response to Lambert's update briefing in September.
Right.
There's no specific minute about this. I'm asking you about the way it's described here as fascinating and valuable, and I would like to know why such an exchange would be fascinating and valuable.
Are you asking me what I thought about it at the time?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't remember at all.
The second paragraph says that an in-depth discussion increasing Walton's understanding of the Lawrence's relationship with various campaigning groups would be of great value as he continued to prepare a draft submission to the inquiry on behalf of the Commissioner. Why is that important to the Stephen Lawrence review team?
I don't know. Was it secret information that was being passed?
Well, it's as described here. It's the basis of HN81's reporting, certainly on some confidential matters, as we've seen.
But were these the matter? Was that the reporting that was passed on to this man?
What I would like to know, from your point of view, why would such an exchange between an undercover officer infiltrating MFJ close to the Lawrence campaign have been of great value to the man helping to draft the Commissioner's submissions for the inquiry?
I don't know what was passed, and therefore I can't answer the question. I don't know. You'd have to ask Walton.
Did you have any reason to doubt that it had been a valuable meeting?
Was I aware of the meeting? Sorry, I've tried now.
The minute we looked at showed you were certainly, or you certainly appeared to think that there were off-the-record briefings happening.
Right.
Did you have reason to think that they were anything other than important?
I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't recall.
The third paragraph here refers to the Home Secretary and the Prime Minister being extremely concerned that the Metropolitan Police could end up with its credibility in the eyes of London's black community completely undermined. Was anything said to you about that by anybody in the SDS?
I don't remember. I don't remember at all.
Was anything said to you about that by Walton?
I can't remember.
Or anybody else?
I don't know. I can't remember that.
And this does suggest, doesn't it, that one of the purposes of this meeting was to exchange information that was important to defending the credibility of the Metropolitan Police Service.
Yes.
And that might include any weaknesses in the Stephen Lawrence campaign.
It might do.
Or anything that might undermine the Lawrence's standing.
Well, it might do. How can I answer that question?
Can we look at the numbered subparagraphs, please? If we look at the first one, it appears that Walton has told Lambert and 81 that the Metropolitan Police Service will be making some form of admission of racism. Was that news to you?
I beg your pardon. Are you on this paragraph that says how to respond to the charge of
Yes.
institution? Sorry.
Yes.
Bear with me a second.
Sure.
Right, sorry.
Did that come as news to you?
That
there was going to be an admission of racism?
I can't remember.
Can you recall whether you learnt that that admission was going to be made?
I don't remember whether the admission of police unconscious racism and lack of understanding of black culture has been going on for how many years? I mean, it wouldn't have been new to anybody.
Can we go to paragraph 2, please?
Right.
This appears to be focused on how 81's intelligence has assisted the Commissioner to deal with the second stage of the public inquiry. He was planning a series of public forums, and 81's intelligence is enabling him to avoid a venue where the message might be disrupted.
I'm sorry, could you take the large 1, 2, 3s away and let me look at the bit before that? May I have the paragraph before that, please? The one that starts. I can't read it. Yes, thank you. This is a Walton briefing and not an SDS briefing. Am I correct?
This is a
no, these points here.
This document is created by Detective Inspector Lambert of the SDS following the meeting with himself, Walton, and HN81.
I understand. These 3 points that we're now going to discuss, these are not HN81's points, these are Richard Walton's points, am I correct?
This is Lambert saying that Walton had explained the 3 main areas that his team was addressing were, and then when we got to the second one, which was the response to part 2 of the inquiry, the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, if we could go back to that, please. Does that give you the context for this paragraph?
Yes, I'm sorry, I was confused. It's my fault. I thought this was what HN81 was saying to Walton, but in fact, this is what Walton is saying to Detective Inspector, or Chief Inspector, where it is Lambert, and HN81. Right,
Well,
this paragraph.
Yeah, we'll save that. This paragraph says, RW explained that the Commissioner plans to stage a series of public fora in the months ahead, at which he will attend personally and set out the Met's position. So that is Walton explaining what the Commissioner is doing to get his points across as part and parcel of the response to the second stage of the inquiry.
Yes.
One proposed venue was Lambeth Town Hall, and Windmill Tilter, that's 81, was able to advise Richard Walton of the vulnerability that such a meeting would have to disruption from MFJ and local black youth.
Right.
So essentially, the SDS is providing information to Walton, advising the Commissioner to steer clear of Lambeth Town Hall.
Right. And we've had a previous paper where SDS information was directed towards avoiding a public meeting where there was going to be disorder, haven't we?
My question...
Is this the same one?
My question for these purposes is that was regarded as a good use of SDS intelligence, wasn't it?
Yes.
And it was for the purpose of enabling the Commissioner to get his message across more clearly and avoid a meeting which would be disrupted.
Well, I don't know about his getting his message across. I think certainly we'd have been interested in him not getting attacked or whatever the public disorder was going to be.
Well, it doesn't say it'd be attacked, it say it would be disrupted.
Right, disrupted.
Now, avoiding a meeting at which the message might be disrupted, could you regard that as a proper policing purpose for an undercover police officer?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Avoiding a meeting at which the Commissioner's message might be disrupted in the course of his response to the Lawrence inquiry, did you think that that intelligence was for a proper policing purpose?
Well, you've put the word Commissioner's message into this paragraph. And the paragraph is not about that. The paragraph is about the disruption, and that's about public disorder disruption. It's not about Commissioner's message.
Well, it says he's going to attend personally and set out the Met's position.
Yeah.
So is the answer to my question that you think it is justified because it has a public order angle?
Yes.
Can we go to 3, please? How to regain the confidence of the black community. Now, you've adverted to this already. So HN81 is giving some specific and positive information about community groups who might be prepared to build bridges. A UCO being used to spy on community groups for the purpose of assisting the MPS to manage its community relations. Is that fair?
It was that his tasking, to spy on them in order to assist.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. It looks like that from this document, doesn't it?
No. Disagree, but it looks like that from that document.
He is providing specific and positive information as regards community groups who might be prepared to build bridges in the context of seeking to regain the confidence of the black community. That is spying on community groups for the purposes of assisting the MPS to manage community relations, isn't it?
No.
Could you explain why not?
Because he isn't charged, he isn't targeted to do that. That's what he's picked up and is therefore reporting.
Well,
that's not using him. You're using words which suggest that he was put in there specifically to do that. Well, that's simply not true.
That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting that amongst other things, his intelligence is being used for that purpose in this meeting.
Well, that's a much better way of putting it, yes.
Did you consider whether that was an appropriate policing purpose?
Yes. I don't know whether I considered it at the time. No, I think looking at it now, I think that's appropriate, yes.
Wasn't the need to build bridges and the depth of feeling already obvious?
I guess so, I don't know.
And how does providing such intelligence fall within a legitimate policing purpose?
If it assists whoever it was, Commander Grieve, who was doing this, it would assist him in knowing where to build the bridges with the black community.
And one for which you thought using an undercover police officer was legitimate?
Information from anywhere would have been of assistance to Commander Grieve, whether it came from satellites in the sky or underground, an undercover SDS officer. He needed that information.
Had HN81 been compromised at that time, it would have set back police community relations even further, wouldn't it?
I suppose so, yeah.
Or if it had been known that an undercover police officer was being used for these purposes?
Being used for these purposes?
Yeah. An undercover police officer's intelligence was being used for these purposes.
Only if you were talking about HN81 being exposed, that would have been a problem. But the fact that his intelligence,
even if his precise identity wasn't known, the fact that an undercover police officer was being used for those purposes, if that had become known.
Yes.
If we go over the page, to the top of the next page. If you look at the type text, please. Does the final sentence, allied to this was a concern about the damaging effects of sustained political pressure from hard left and anti-police elements, properly articulate the reason for SDS interest in far left campaigning against the police?
That's what it suggests.
And do you agree with it?
I was going to say about damaging effects. I'm sure that concern would have existed, yes.
And the campaigning of others against the police, including Black and Asian justice campaigns.
Well, potential for rioting and disorder would have been our first thing on our minds, yeah.
Well, I'm not asking about that. I'm asking about the damaging effects of sustained political pressure from hard left and anti-police elements, and I'm particularly focusing on anti-police elements. Does that reflect campaigning of others against the police?
Well, yes.
Including Black and Asian justice campaigns?
That's what it suggests, yes.
And again, do you agree with that?
That it did. I don't know. I imagine everybody would agree with that.
And if we zoom out now and look at the manuscript endorsement, Can you recall whether you saw this at the time?
I can't recall.
If you had, is this a sentiment that you would have agreed with?
Excellent meeting. Good example. An excellent meeting and a good example of the yeah.
Could we take that down now and have 722486? Now we're moving now to the correspondence file that you set up. We go to page 2, please. This is the cover page for the file, just so you can see it. And then can we move to page 3 and minute 1, please? This is you on the 14th of September 1998, opening.
I'm sorry, could I have a look at the cover file? Because the covers are quite important.
Yes, of course.
I'm sorry about that.
No problem. Go back
to the cover. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. I'm sorry about that.
If we go to page 3, minute 1.
Right. Yeah.
Well, this is the 14th of September 1998, and you explain here why you are opening the file.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
Can you help us? Was it Lambert's update in September that we looked at just before the break, which proved to be the catalyst which caused you to open this file?
I can't remember whether that was the catalyst or not.
If it wasn't, what was the catalyst?
Well, I can't remember.
If we look at the subparagraph 1, Commander SB to C, policy agreed, the report of the 10th of September 98 is very helpful. I assume the original was signed.
That's all right, yeah, okay.
I want to digress to that report. If we could have up, please, MPS 301290. This is the report of the 10th of September 1998. It's one of HN81's reports in the sense we discussed earlier about the Stephen Lawrence inquiry. I'll give you a moment to read the text.
Thank you. Right.
So that report is communicating essentially three things. First of all, the arrangements that have been made between Mr. Owolade of MFJ and the Stephen Lawrence inquiry to present a petition to that inquiry, the plans for a concurrent demonstration and media interviews, and an update on Mrs. Reel's own progress with the inquiry as to whether she would be able to speak. All of that is legitimate activity, isn't it?
Yes. Well, yeah.
What is the policing value in reporting on Mr. Olowade's presenting a petition to the Stephen Lawrence inquiry?
This is information that's gone to, I presume, well, I don't know, is the answer. I can give you my opinion, but I wouldn't be of any use, really. I think you've got it back to front. I think this information has come down to Special Branch and is incorporated as part of a Windmill Tilter report. I am not sure that, well, I can't answer for Windmill Tilter, what's his name? Windmill Tilter, I can't answer for him.
Well, our understanding is that this is what HN81 has reported to his sergeant, who has written it up, and it's the product of his infiltration of MFJ. Can you help me, please, with what the policing value is of reporting that Mr. Owolade is to present a petition with the agreement of the Stephen Lawrence inquiry?
Reporting for whom? Reporting per se?
Well, he's reporting it, as you know, in the normal SDS way, and this is a report which I've taken you to because Commander Special Branch has written on the minute we've just looked at that he thought, well, he had a very positive view of it.
Right.
And I'm asking you what the policing purpose of that information is.
Special Branch collected intelligence and information from everywhere. From flyers, from informants, from the intelligence services, from all over, from public information and from private intelligence sources in this country, abroad. It collected it in order to inform them itself of a wider picture. It's a picture which, in due course, having considered all the elements that arrived in Special Branch, it may or may not be able to put together to make some kind of useful assessment of what was going on. This is an element of that. If in time it turned out, after collection of it, that it was of no value, it was destroyed. That's how Special Branches operated. You don't have to report something that then gets disseminated to anybody. It reports internally so that Special Branch can provide a picture in order that at some point it can put together something that may or may not be of relevance. So therefore, in that context, this is a piece of information that will be added somewhere to the file, and at some point somebody will assess the file as to whether it's relevant or not relevant, and therefore it will be destroyed or disseminated, depending on what's happening at the time.
Well, this particular report, as we've seen, received a very favourable view from Mr. Moss, who was Commander Special Branch at the time. Can I take it from what you've said that you also would have had a positive reaction to it at the time?
Yes.
On reflection, is it in fact something that an undercover police officer should not have been reporting?
On reflection? The more I think about it now.
Yeah.
No, I find that entirely legitimate in terms of it adding to a picture internally within Special Branch, which may or may not assist a future assessment of some action or not.
Is your answer any different in respect of the information communicated about Mrs. Reel?
I don't remember, as you know, Ricky Reel's mother. However, it's secret intelligence. Secret intelligence is not collected to pass on to anyone in the first instance. It's collected to compile. That's reporting for internally in the branch. Should now something happen where Ricky Reel's mother something happens to her, this is information which will be useful in determining what sort of action has happened and why it may or may not be relevant to whatever happened to Ricky Reel's mother.
What is secret about the question whether a public inquiry is going to permit a grieving mother to address them?
Well, it may be that she is, I have no idea about Ricky Reel's mother. It may be she gets very upset about not giving not getting into whatever it is and takes some other course of action.
Is that pure supposition on your part?
Well, you've asked for my reflection. So of course it's pure supposition.
Did you consider this was valuable because of the importance of the Stephen Lawrence inquiry to the police?
I didn't consider that. Well, I don't know what I considered at the time. I don't remember seeing the paper.
Could we go back to 722486, please? To page 4, please. This is the file itself. If we could look at minute 3 here. This is a minute from you dated the 26th of September 1998. Yep.
Yep.
The wording you have used indicates two purposes. You want to see a flow of suitable material, both tactical intelligence about the Lawrence inquiry and broader work on race crime. Could you clarify what you meant by that, please?
Well, it's not tactical intelligence about the Lawrence inquiry, it's tactical intelligence around the Lawrence inquiry is what it actually says. And it's in order to assist. Where does it go? CO24, is that? Yes, it'll go via McDowell. In order to assist the work, in order to try and build relationships in the first place, and then broader work on race crime.
What I'm interested in is that phrase, tactical intelligence around the Lawrence inquiry. What did you mean by that?
Well, intelligence which would see which way the campaign was going in terms of it being non-violent, violent, whether it was going to be... I mean, we weren't interested in the politics at all in Special Branch.
Why does DS McDowell need to know whether the Stephen Lawrence campaign is going to be violent or not?
Because he's working for Commander Grieve. And Commander Grieve is trying to build the relations with the black community, as I understand.
And how does that differ from broader work on race crime?
Well, that may be a different department that goes to broader But if it's crime, it'll go to the division, uniform division, in which investigates race crime.
But this is a file, this is a minute on a file which is going to CO24.
And they will then send it on if they feel that there's a need. Or we might even have sent it on to we have liaison officers in uniform divisions, and we would send it on via them to the uniform commander in order that the uniform commander can investigate it or allocate somebody to investigate it.
Isn't the broader work on race crime about responding better to race crime in the future?
Well, that would be for John Grieve to decide whether it would be or not.
So would that be an appropriate time to stop for lunch?
Certainly. We'll resume at 2.
Thank you.